what's most important is the things that were tested. And so for those, I have reports from 3 laboratories, Bodie Laboratories, Estrella, and the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab.
You read a report which described a number of hairs on a piece of adhesive. Do you recall that tape?
Yeah, there were a lot, more than a dozen hairs, as I recall, but a lot of hairs.
And do you recall the different colors of those hairs on that adhesive?
Brown. There was very short, dark hair, a blonde hair. Those are the ones I remember. And obviously there were a number of the dark hairs, and I think several of blonde hairs.
And at some point, as a result of on that tape and those hairs, and you said over a dozen hairs on that tape?
I don't know if they were all from that tape, but there are a bunch of hairs listed and only a few went on to testing. Yeah, just about, just a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, they started advertising this at some of the private labs.
The brown hairs, the blonde hairs, and the short hair, the brown hairs were sent over for testing to Estrella. Is that what you recall?
Not all of them, but for some reason, certain ones were selected. Okay. And as I recall, 4 test hairs went to Estrella. Okay. And so they could only compare it to those 3 samples, the 4 hairs that they had. They determined from the 4 hairs, that shallow sequencing, that 2 of the hairs came from possibly the same person. So they had 3 different people out of 4 hairs, and then they compared it to the 3 references they had. And all of the reference samples were excluded from each of those 4 hairs that represent 3 people. So neither Chad Daybell, nor Lori Vallow, nor JJ contributed those hairs. And then there's further analysis than they did. But that's the first main conclusion, is there's 3 different people who don't match the 3 reference samples who left hairs that were sent to Estrella.
So at this point, what was basically sent to Estrella?
Coming into the front door, this is the front room.
Detective, I'm going to pause it real quick. Is this the same apartment that you spoke to Lori Vallow in?
Yes, it is.
And this body cam was taken on what date?
The following day, the 27th.
Of November 2019?
Yes.
Thank you.
Entered. There was, upon arrival, keys that had been left up the garage. This area, couches, tables, guns, low staircase going up to the 2nd level of the whole 175. To the left at the top of the landing, it's a master bedroom, bed, a bath and closet area. Upon entering, no clothing left in this closet, shower.
Detective, we just heard you say there was no clothing left in that closet, correct?
Yes.
Was that of note to you?
It was. It made me think that the occupants, because of our day visit before, left in haste.
Continuing down the hall, 2 bedrooms, one to the south, one to the north of the hallway. This is the one to the south. A single bed, a double bed.
And so that's at the doorway of where there's a bedroom, the boys' bedroom, where the bottom bed's a little whiter and the comforters are navy blue. So she's leading him back into the bedroom when she kind of does that from behind, and then the stepfather jumps in to help with that. And I think that's probably why they ended up with the black plastic all over the boy, because it kind of started out that way. The water. And he's wearing pajamas when all this happens. He's not in bed, but he's wearing pajamas. Flannel pajamas. They might be. Okay, so the boy shows me he's playing with something. The mom comes over to him. And so that's at the doorway of where there's a bedroom, the boys' bedroom, where the bottom bed's a little whiter and the comforters are navy blue. So she's leading him back into the bedroom when she kind of does that from behind. And
A single bed, a double bed.
But we do know who you spoke to at that point, correct?
Right, correct.
Who was that?
Nate Eaton.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Mr. Eaton. At any time during that communication with Mr. Wood, did you suggest to him that you needed to protect either a person or an organization as part of whether or not you were going to testify or what you were going to testify to?
No,
You don't remember that?
no, I didn't. No, what I'm saying is no, I didn't. My intent was not to protect anything other than to share what I knew.
Okay. Okay. So if I were to show you a text message that suggests something contrary to that, would that refresh your recollection?
I don't recall it, so I could care either way.
Gibb, after you have a chance to read that, would you hand it back to the bailiff and have him return that to me, please?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Ms. Gibb, after you have a chance to read that, it's the third box down.
Right.
After you've had to read it, hand it back to the bailiff and then we'll talk about it. And if you could identify what was said and the date and time, I would appreciate that. So in looking at that, does that refresh your recollection about discussing protecting someone in this case?
That sounds familiar.
Okay, and in this particular instance, isn't it true that when you were communicating with Mr. Wood, you mentioned to him that you and Mr. Morrison want to make sure the church is protected, right?
Well, I think in my feeling, what it meant to me is that when we talked about these things, that we would share that this was not the teachings of the church. So that's what I meant by it.
No, it wasn't that what you were trying to do is you were going to testify. It wasn't that you were trying to testify in a court of law or in talking with Mr. Morrison and not disclose too much about some of the secrets of the LDS faith. Is that what you're telling me?
No,
You were trying to protect some of the secrets of the LDS faith from
No,
being exposed?
no, I'm sorry. I guess it's the way you're phrasing it.
Okay. So in other words, what you're saying is that you were just wanted to be careful about what you said when you're talking to a prosecutor in a criminal case. Is that what this means?
I'm not sure how you're explaining it, that you need to be more clear with me.
Okay, I'll be really clear. You and Mr. Morrison sent a text to a prosecuting attorney, correct?
I don't know who sent that. I'm sure I'm not that text, even though I guess I didn't understand. Was I texting that to Rob? I'm not sure.
Well, Judge, I think what I'd like to do is have the bailiff come back up, take the document, have her look at it and see who it was from and who it was to. And then after you do that, we'll take a look again.
I'll permit that. So, Mr. Bailiff, if you'd please retake this paper, not yet admitted as an exhibit, but it is shown to the witness to refresh recollection. The witness may review again the text.
Okay. I just
And
missed
ma'am, when
that
you're
one.
done, just put it down because all we're allowed to do is refresh your recollection. Hand it back to the bailiff if you would, and he'll return it to me, ma'am. And I'll just try to walk through this step by step if that's okay with you. You sent Rob Wood a text at that time, correct?
Yes,
And the text was from you to Rob Wood.
correct.
And in the text, you talked about Keith, the guy from Dateline, and I, right? And is that the Keith Morrison? Is that the guy we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay. Want to make sure the church is protected. You recall that?
yes,
He has done a good job so far. That's why I feel comfortable talking to him. Is that what you said to the prosecutor?
I think so, yes.
Is there any reason to dispute what I just read is not what you read just 2 minutes ago?
Yes, that's fine.
So the question I have with that is, if what you're saying is that, well, you wanted to get the story right in terms of the beliefs of the LDS faith, why are you sending that to a prosecuting attorney?
I felt comfortable talking to Rob to let him to know what I was doing. I just felt comfortable sharing that just to let him know what I was up to. Yeah.
So you were sharing with Rob Wood, the prosecuting attorney, that it's your intent to protect the LDS church with your testimony, right?
I guess you could say that.
Okay.
That wasn't the whole point of the interview, but
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the point of this text was that, right?
I guess so.
Right. And the 340 other texts between May 6th of 2020 and November 4th of 2020, were those just to say hi?
No,
Okay. So in other words, what was happening here is that there was at least some sort of a relationship built between you and this prosecutor about how and when and where you were going to testify about things in this case. Is that right?
Objection, Your Honor, misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
The point of all this communication between you and Mr. Wood, the prosecuting attorney in this case, was to establish how you planned on testifying in this case and what you were going to say.
it wasn't the established reason why I communicated with him.
And it was just a coincidence then that you happened to mention your church and how you were going to protect your church to the prosecutor who was going to be calling you and examining you as a witness in this case. That's just a coincidence, right?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Sustained.
Tylee, her daughter, picks up the bat and tries to defend herself or hit him or whatever. She doesn't like him anyway. And she doesn't like anybody. Tylee and JJ with her. Tylee and JJ are up there. I know she's up there with both of them because I can hear them on the phone in the background while she's packing and moving in. And then she tells me, I don't know, within a week or two that Tylee is now at BYU. She's up there at school. I go up to visit her, and I see that Tylee is not there, and I said, hey, Tylee's, I mentioned again, like, Tylee went to BYU, and she goes, yeah, but she gave me this really creepy look. Yeah, it was creepy. It was like, yes, she's dead, really, and yeah, almost that kind of look. But then I didn't know what to think about it at the time. I was like, why do I feel creepy when she looks at me like that, And so anyway, then she tells me I get there in September 23rd weekend, and JJ's missing. No, JJ's not missing, sorry. JJ's there, and she tells me he's a zombie now. And so was Tylee. Yeah, so people that are zombies, they don't end up staying alive. So I say, okay. She says, I'm just going to give him back to Kay, the grandmother. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. Then you guys can move on with your missions. Just tell her to take Kay. You think she'll take JJ? I mean, he's a lot of work. Do you think she'll take, no, yeah, I'm hoping so. I'll just have to make something up. I said, well, tell her you're sick or something and that you just have some illness and that you're not able to watch after him. So, she said, hey, he's a handful. And plus it's not her kid anyway, right? And so, right, she adopted him from Kay's family as a baby. Yeah, he was a drug baby, and so she adopted him as a baby.
Trying to pinch his nose so he can't breathe. And so that's at the doorway of where I think there's bunk beds there. But there's a bedroom, the boys' bedroom. I'm not 100% sure if he shares it with the girl or not, but I feel like there's those kind of bunk beds or something where the bottom bed's a little whiter and the comforters are navy blue. So she's leading him back into the bedroom when she kind of does that from behind, and then the stepfather jumps in to help with that. And I think that's probably why they ended up with the black plastic all over the boy, because it kind of started out that way. I don't know if it was a leaf bag or what, which would mean total premeditation. Like, why would she have a leaf bag in the house? And, And then it feels like the girl's body's over, like that kitchen that kind of you look out onto the lake.